I have the time is 6:33, so we'll call this work session of mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, February 8th, 2019. We've got Chuck Ross at the big table.
It's a big boy tonight, huh?
Yep, moved up from the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
Kids table.
Got a new nameplate too.
That's where I just signed your paper for you.
I'll wait till you did.
Okay, so first we'll go through the regular business meeting agenda. So I've got Reverend Elizabeth Hendrick is sick tonight.
Oh,
So can somebody give the invitation? You haven't done it
He's
in
never done
so
it. I don't know
long.
how. He's never done it. You should say, at the University of Florida.
Thank you, Chief, for volunteering.
Thanks, Chief. Nah, I'll do it.
where's Tony when we need him? Dave, you don't want to do the invitation?
I don't know how to do it. Lightning would strike if I tried.
I can say good.
And then we've got the Cub Scout pack from St. Oliver's. We'll do the FBLA proclamation at the council meeting. Dave and I went to the school today and presented it to the president and vice president
To which?
at
Brookwood.
Brookwood.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, who's coming to get it? No one.
Yeah, no, it's,
Okay.
it's two from Brookwood
I
coming.
wondered if it was South or both.
They had approached me, they had emailed me like 3 or 4 weeks ago
Okay.
to do the proclamation for the week. And then we have the Tree City,
Apparently not, because people just cut down trees.
celebration. Okay, and then we have
Do
minutes.
we have a proclamation on that one that we signed, on the Tree City? Oh, it's just a recognition, never mind.
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah, there's not a proclamation. We have Bill Kingsbury, I just saw you come in for planning commission. Got the first reading on the Kroger gas pumps. Anybody have anything on that for tonight?
I just wanted to ask what the exterior finish of the building,
It's brick.
is it brick? I couldn't tell, I didn't see anywhere where it,
It's gonna match the rest of it.
okay,
Yeah, it would be,
okay, that was,
they didn't have any trouble meeting the architectural requirements.
okay. That was my only
There's a
question.
little stucco too, but mostly brick.
Okay, anybody else have any issue on that? So we'll waive the first reading for the February 25th is our next meeting. Then we'll have Jim Somerville will give a presentation on the 2040 comprehensive plan. And then at this point, we'll do the public hearing, so we'll allow anyone to make comments. Do we need to talk about that medium density now, or?
The, one of the items on the project update, I asked Jason and the staff to talk about 2 areas that they are recommending for good reason, be adjusted from low density to medium density.
Correct.
Jason, you want to
Yeah,
just
it's
kind of
just
give them the
2 spots.
basic area?
They're both kind of in similar locations. They're stuck down between heavy commercial use on, one is actually over on McGee. We've had, you guys are familiar with the East Side Swim and Tennis Club, where we've had all those issues with the property devaluation. It's not really feasible to have a swim and tennis club anymore, and there's not really enough land there to do your traditional type of just single-family lots. So we recommended that space, I think it's right at 8 acres, maybe a little bigger, be allowed to develop in the future as medium density, which would still require a rezoning if it would have to come before you, but it would allow for the uses that are specified on your use table that are associated with medium density. And it gives you appropriate single family, R-hop, villa cluster, and some other stuff as well. So maybe townhomes. It's just something we thought that was a good use in the future. And it would still require you guys to vet it. So instead of just letting it sit there and continue to degrade, because obviously nobody's gonna open it up, thought it was better than more heavy commercial, and would be a good step down from basically McGee into that single-family district there. So that was one space, so we just wanted to make you aware before it came up in a meeting or something. And the other one is the property that's on Rockdale, if you guys are familiar, the piece of property that we went to court on, I think it was like 12 or 14 years ago. Same situation, heavy commercial uses on 78, more single-family, traditional residential to the south. Just gives us an opportunity to provide some different stuff there. And under our new code, we'll also have built into the ordinances, it'd be the RS50, which will allow 5,000 or 5,500 square feet lots and up, like we did at Shadowbrook. So it could still be single family, it could be senior housing, and that would have to come back in front of everybody too. It would just lay the framework where they wouldn't need to request a land use plan amendment too. So just make it a little easier to get in front of you guys. So those were the only two areas that we really changed, I felt like were substantial, that would, you guys might, at least want to know about if you missed it when you were looking over the parcel by parcel map.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want that area on Rockdale Circle to be allowed for townhomes.
Well, you don't.
Would that be in there for
It's,
that?
I mean, townhomes on the use chart under medium density actually are silent, and actually, because it's blanket, says it's not appropriate there.
Okay. So it would just be smaller lots would get the
Yeah,
higher
it could
density?
be R8, RG75, which is smaller lots too. I mean, it could be a couple different forms.
Okay,
And by not putting it as the townhomes specifically as considered or appropriate, it allows you some flexibility to get the right plan in front of you, if it's done right. So that one's a little larger tract where you would probably want to get into some of those cluster home type neighborhoods instead of, a giant townhome development, because it's a lot of acres.
yeah.
How many acres is it?
At least 12, 15 plus, I think, when you add all the properties together. The problem is there's different landowners now, they've changed hands, and the guy that owns the original piece, the bigger piece, has some kind of astronomical value attached to it, so nobody's even been able to develop it at all for it.
But somebody has to do some assembly work before.
Yeah, probably, unless they can make it work on the one piece, but from what we've heard, they need at least the 3 big pieces to make it work, so. Those are the only land uses those two areas that were kind of, different than what was on the map before.
It's not, I felt like they weren't liberal changes. I felt like we are getting down to a much smaller inventory of developable property. And we kind of have to look for conservative changes like this that allow the property to be a little more marketable, a little more developable, where it doesn't negatively impact their neighbors. So I thought these two areas made a lot of sense. We wanted to lay it out there for you so you knew about it. Nothing wouldn't surprise you. So.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Because that will be our first new business item there is approval of the comp plan. Does anybody have anything else on that you want to go over or discuss?
It's a good job on it.
Yeah.
Really good job
Yeah, I
on it.
thought it came out pretty well.
We
Very
got a lot of
comprehensive.
feedback
It
from a
is
lot of people.
very comprehensive.
It was a good.
Well, and I'm just realizing I didn't open it on my iPad, I opened it on my computer. Okay. Just don't have access to it. Okay. Then we have the budget amendment, that you.
Which basically I call, we do this every year, it's more or less a true-up for the items that were out of alignment in the budget. And there were a lot of small differences, But the major ones, I just kind of wanted to go over a little bit. On the revenue side, we did not anticipate title taxes to go up $100,000. And this year, they're back down. So that was an unusual number that we did not anticipate. I always budget conservatively when it comes to licenses and permits, but we have had another record year when it came to residential and commercial permitting. And so those numbers needed to be adjusted in the budget. Another item that needed to be adjusted, and because we are fully staffed in the police department, and our folks are out there patrolling the streets, doing a great job, the fines and forfeitures went up substantially. And of course, you know, the court has something to do with that also. So, you know, when you look at the revenues as a whole, the budget amendment accounts for about a $1.1 million increase on the revenue side. And on the expenditure side, of course, we had the greatest number, or the largest changes are really towards the end, when we looked at our capital outlay items and our debt service items. And if we can go to, it may be the last page. Probably is the last page. There were some big changes there. One thing we had, we did not expect to, there was an equipment lease. The $231,000 was for police equipment. That was a lease payment, where we'd been paying cash for vehicles. Land acquisition, that of course was the town center property. That $514,000 difference resulted in the amendment of 526. The other three large ones down below, the 911 console, that was reimbursed by the county, all in one payment. We didn't expect that to be the case, so we made a lease payment. And if you remember, in this year's budget, we used some fund balance. We'll pay off the rest of that console. And the big one down at the bottom, we had to do with transfers to the URA. That's a debt service payment. We made that payment on 6/30/17. It was not recorded until FY18, the week or the day after into July. So it shows that we made two payments in FY18, and we did. The normal payment and then the one from the year before, which was not recorded until 18. So in FY19, if you look at your budget, we've gone back to one annual payment, but that accounts for that $361,000 difference. And if you look at the year before, we did not make a pay. It didn't show up that we made a payment, and so that needed to be adjusted. So you can see the budget amendment on the expenditure side is the same as the revenue. The bottom line in the overall budget was that we're in the black by about $550,000. Took in about that much more than we expended, and I think the audit will show a little bit more than that when we get it in a month or two. So, but this is something we do every year. And it gives us a good starting point for this year's budget, although things change a lot, and you'll see those numbers shortly as far as the FY20 budget proposal.
So then we'll just need a motion to approve that budget amendment. Item C, I'll nominate Diane Harrell for the Planning Commission. she'll be taking, is that Todd's seat?
I don't think so.
That was for a prior seat, because this is just through June 30th.
Yeah, post 5, whoever's post 5.
And then we have Alice Snipes to confirm for the Parks and Rec Board. Then we have the approval for the marketing contract with Explore Gwinnett. Anyone have any questions or
Yes.
concerns there? Yes.
So that's gonna be 25% of the hotel motel tax, 2 cents of every 8 cents.
Yes.
And so I looked up that GCVB people and the Explore, I guess is their branch that does that advertising stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see anything on who runs it or what benefit it has or what any like data or info to see that it's worth even doing, basically.
It's, the Gwinnett Convention and Visitors Bureau is the company. Explore Gwinnett is, they're doing business as. So it's a county-run, not county-run, it is its own
Board run.
board-run entity that does all of the advertising for Gwinnett County, selling conventions into Gwinnett County. Their mission is similar to our stat board. Similar to our stat, they are countywide, trying to get heads and beds here in the county. We used to, years ago, the city used to pay them, it was like $25,000 or $35,000 a year for a contract with them, and essentially you might get a mention in their little Gwinnett County book. And theoretically, they were supposed to be doing a lot for the city, but they really weren't at that point. That's why the city, ended our contract with them, and that's when we started our Tourism and Trade Association. So, but what that did was, it eliminated any kind of countywide, anything that Explore Gwinnett touched. They did not mention Snellville, they didn't sell Snellville, they wouldn't advertise our events. So they wouldn't advertise any businesses, which I don't think that was right, but they wouldn't even advertise businesses or promote businesses here. They do a lot too, as far as like, now they've gotten like food tours, they have a guy that just handles family reunions and weddings. So they're trying to attract people from other places to come here, stay, and, do all these events here. So now that, especially with us getting the Hampton Inn, the hotels really can benefit from that countywide, and their message gets pushed out even further than what we can do here in the city and what we do here in the city through STAT. So this is given, and our events have gotten so big that the reach, it'd be nice to get outside of our little market into a broader market with our advertising, and this gives us the avenue to do that. So what we're doing, and the other side of things are Explore Gwinnett and the Gwinnett Convention and Visitors Bureau, they went through kind of a rebranding and remission, repurposing what they did. They did that about 5 years ago, and they started focusing more internal stuff, more internal promotion of what we have here in Gwinnett County. So they've changed the way they do things that will really help benefit us as far as getting us more promotion, helping us connect in. They do a lot of times if the film industry is looking for locations, they go through Explore Gwinnett. And then they help promote Snellville, locations for, Lisa Anders has an idea of what's available here in the city, and then they help direct some of those productions here. So it's kind of broad-based what they do, and we just felt like it was a really good time to reconnect back with them, so that we can really start pushing out what we're doing.
Well, the funds, I get what you're saying, but I just kind of really see that as just, you gotta pay to be part of the group. If not, they won't let you be in the group. That's what I saw that as, really.
Well, right, it's a contract for them to do services
Yeah.
for you.
But then it says like, their money's going towards, well, it's part of the tourism, the hotels, towards like, advertising our hotels and stuff, but I really just see that that's the hotel's business to advertise themselves, not a government entity to, or a pseudo-government entity to advertise it for them. And then the other, it says money's going towards the marketing or the maintenance of the convention center. That's taking our tax money and giving it to the county so they can have maintenance on their convention stuff versus our own staff stuff or our own marketing or whatever it is. That's the top base too. And then, it gets automatically renewed every year. So I didn't.
Unless we
see it.
cancel within 60 days before the end.
Yeah, but who keeps, I don't think we're already gonna keep track of that. It's like, maybe the mayor might if
Just
they
stick it
remember
on
or
your
something,
calendar.
or-
Oh, yeah, we'll have that conversation. We wanted to keep it for a period of 1 year because we have been gone a long time. We want to see what the benefits are. We want to hear from the hotels and the restaurants. And now that we're, they promote and market everything that we do here. They don't get involved in our events. I mean, Stat's still going to be in control there. But, we're on their marketing calendar, and hopefully it has a positive impact. We'll be able to review it every year and decide. And I'll make sure, if we have to send something by November 1, we'll put it on a work session early in October and review it, see what you think. And we can talk to, make some phone calls to people and see what they think.
Because it
Maybe
is very
bottom
much,
down.
this year will be a year to find out if it's gonna be worth it for us. If not, we cancel the contract and go back to what we were doing.
Then last year I brought up lowering the hotel motel tax, and it was, I guess, consensus among some that we should see how the money coming in, how it gets affected with the new hotel versus both hotels, because the other one probably lose business because they're the new one. But this is money being spent now if this gets approved, so we won't be able to lower the hotel motel tax because new money or money's getting taken out from stat or however else it gets spent, and part of it's being given to explore.
We'll still know how much more we're getting from the hotels.
I know, but to lower it, because once we lower it, then that means stat and explore would get less money,
Yes, that would
So-
happen.
and that would be fine. I
Well, you
guess.
have to know if you're gonna get more money before you know if you're gonna get less money. I mean, what happens arbitrarily, Hampton Inn opens up and the other hotel goes away and we're net zero at the end of the year. You have to go through a year to find out where you are.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying that since we're gonna be spending money, part of the hotel motel tax, or giving it to the county now, or the entity, then that's less funds we have to use in the city.
Well, and actually though, with even on the low end projections that we were doing, that we discussed when we approved the STAC contract, the low end projections with the new hotel were that even giving that 2 pennies to Explore Gwinnett, STAT's portion at the remainder would still be higher than what they've been getting.
And there's 10% of those dollars that remain with the general fund for things like wayfinding signage and marketing, general fund type marketing needs. So everybody's, I mean, if it all works out, if the numbers grow like we expect, it's one of those rising tides that lifts all boats. And we definitely, we went over it with Kelly and Stat and let them know exactly what was happening here. So we tried to keep everybody updated.
And Explore Gwinnett's a private business or nonprofit?
What's
It's a
it?
nonprofit convention, isn't that a separate 501c something?
It's set up by the county, it's the Visitors Bureau for the county, it's statutory created.
under the IRS code, it's not a C3, but there's a special designation for visitors, conventions, and visitors bureau. I think every county's got one.
Okay.
Just about every.
I'm sorry, Kathy, did you want to say
I
something?
just wanted to jump in, and he was concerned about the staff board's reaction to it, and it was brought before us and discussed by us, and we looked at it, and yeah, we like all the money we can get, but we felt it was a very, very good thing to do and would benefit the city and staff and all our events, so I think we were pretty much all on board with it.
Thank you. Anyone else on that? Okay. And then next we have the provisional ballot protocol.
And you all got copies last week of the actual protocol. What I'm just sending down is there's a resolution for you all to consider. It just says basically that you all will follow the protocol. And Melissa had opportunity, as I pointed out, to go over all those. It's basically what they've been doing, but this just solidifies it so that we have it in a.
Two different handouts.
There's two different handouts. The first is the resolution, and the second is the protocol.
Did you get the protocol?
Did you get both, Roger?
Yes.
Okay. It's a very, very short resolution. It just basically adopts the
07.
protocol. Does anyone have any questions about that?
All right, so that's it for the meeting for tonight. Any correspondence? Butch?
No, ma'am.
City attorney's report?
We're gonna need a short executive session. You anticipate?
Is that for?
Yes.
Okay, discussion items. We have Butch, program for the second floor.
TSW and Heather Hubble have come up with a very preliminary layout for the second floor above the library for the educational space, educational/public space, probably a lot of slashes in there. I think Eric has distributed that to everyone. I felt like it was important that you have a chance to review that, not really for discussion tonight, but one thing that I was going to request, going over the projects every meeting I think is good. You get an update, you hear little facts and tidbits, but in a situation like several items on here, it would make sense to me that we spend a little more time on them. And the review of this layout is one of those things we need your input on. And so in talking to the mayor earlier, I'd suggested a work session, either starting early on a council meeting day or having a separate meeting to where we can take a few of these items and go in depth on these. So you'll know a little bit more. Some of that would be open to the public, some of it would be executive session. But I always feel like we're just kind of showing a little bit of our hand to the public. I'd love to let everybody in this room know everything that's going on. And I think with a work session like that, we could give a little more information, not only to the council, but to the public, and then go into executive session where it's appropriate. And I just wanted to put this on here as a note. I think everybody got it. Take a look at it. Think about it. Heather laid that out from comments that were made at the day of the charrette, plus some clarifying comments from the staff. So I'd like to see if we could do that.
So what would y'all's choice be? Would you rather us do a work session on another night? Or would you rather us come at, 5 o'clock? Butch? Is that really enough?
That'd be enough.
Or would you rather come at 5 o'clock for the next council meeting to do an earlier work session?
Either way is fine. Whatever you guys want.
You're talking about The
5
next
o'clock.
meeting.
Right.
Yes.
The 25th.
Yes.
Either start the work session at 5, or we could do a work session on another night we could call.
That would work for me, the next meeting.
The next meeting, Roger?
Next meeting.
Yeah.
Good,
Can you get here? You guys could get here? Okay.
okay.
I can get here just with the.
So that's 5
Good.
o'clock,
Now, sure.
Great.
5 o'clock for the
25th.
Can we have food? Who's ordering food?
What's that?
We need
You,
food.
you,
Christie wants
Do you
food.
want me in charge of food?
I will donate the food.
You will donate?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be real
What,
food or?
what would you like? Want pizza? You want sandwiches?
No, sub sandwiches or something.
Sub sandwiches, okay. Jimmy John's will be here.
no, for Telly's.
All right, what's that?
For Telly's.
You'd rather have fratellis. You want meatball subs.
No. No.
You're hard to please, Christie. Okay.
Something
All right, we'll do Jimmy. We'll see.
Whatever's easier. I'll
We'll
be
see.
happy to help.
We'll work on something. Okay. No problem.
And
And we'll try, maybe we can get Heather here to hear the discussion and add to that. Okay.
Butch, just to add a little bit of information to that conversation, there will be, just so mayor and council are aware, a meeting of our 4 principals and 3 to 5 students from each school on the morning of Wednesday, I think it's February 27th, is that the Wednesday?
That's the Wednesday.
Yeah, that morning from 8 to 9:30, you'll have to get a little past Christie if you're coming and shaking your.
Yeah, they're not.
But anyway, all the principals and the bringing students are gonna come together to talk about that second floor as well. So if you would like to hear that conversation or be part of it, you're welcome to. And it's, like I said, February 27th from 8 to 9:30. The principals are hoping at least a reasonable portion of that time is spent getting ideas from the students about what they wanna see happen, what they would like to be able to do.
So it's the principals of the
Brookwood,
South,
Grayson, South, and
the
Shiloh.
high school principals. Okay.
Because mainly the high schoolers that'll be
Right.
involved in anything we do in that space. There'll be some involvement from middle schoolers maybe, but it's mostly the high schoolers. And then, from a time perspective, Heather would like to take your input and the input from that right after that meeting and start to really get into the details of a floor plan. Thank you.
Okay, now we have the Arts Commission resolution. Mr. Neal?
I think we have
one?
copies here.
This is a redo of what was redone previously. Essentially, what we're doing is
Redo of a
outlining, redo of a redone. We're outlining an arts commission that's a recommending body. Any monies to be spent have to be approved by the council. I think there's some very definite limitations here and provisions on what they can and can't do. We're keeping any funds raised separate from the city or go in the Snellville Community Foundation and be deposited and both expended through that foundation. So I'd just like everybody to look this over and make any suggestions, and let's put it on the next meeting for a first read.
I think it provides a pretty good roadmap for your appointed board.
How many will be on the board? Or 3, I see 3 now, right?
No,
3
7.
initial members and 2, okay,
Be 6 total.
okay.
6 plus 1 member of the council.
Okay.
Okay, so if y'all can review that. If you have comments or questions or don't agree with something, then let Dave know so that he can work on updating the draft to incorporate that or discussion before we
And
get
then
to the
once we
next
do that,
meeting.
we'll get them to
Chuck?
Chuck and Tony to put them in official lawyer language.
So minimum of 4 shall resign in city limits?
Mm-hmm.
That's been,
Yeah.
we've had it that way just because it's hard to get
Yeah,
arts people that,
Outside,
Yeah.
for sure.
without,
And this is gonna be not so much arts people as people with an
Business people,
interest. So we
right.
hope to have some business people involved who can possibly generate some ideas for income.
Yeah.
because it's getting the Arts Commission away from actually doing like dramas and,
Events and
Yeah.
such.
yeah, and more about
Professional.
creating a cultural community. Scooter moratorium.
So this came from our planning retreat, as I recall, and I think everyone's kind of familiar, but you may have seen these. It's not just scooters. We call them shareable dockless devices. And the reason they call them that is because they are shareable conveyances, is probably the easiest term to use, but typically it's bicycles as well as scooters. Sometimes the bicycles are motorized. I don't know if any of you have driven downtown Atlanta lately and seen, but they're a great idea. I mean, people that use them love them. The problem with them is there is no procedures in place right now on them, and people leave them laying all over the street. Wheelchair and handicapped people can't get around them. They obstruct traffic. They're dangerous right now. In fact, so the city of Athens, as well as the University of Georgia, totally banned them completely for a year. And a lot of the other, I know Atlanta is in negotiations right now. I think what's really happening is it just kind of happened overnight. The two big players are a company called Bird and another company called Lime. And they're the two, there's an app on your phone, you go on the app, and it unlocks the device so that you can drive it, and then you just leave it. Now, theoretically, someone comes along at night, they all have GPSs, and they charge them and move them to other locations, but the reality is, right now, with no regulations, that doesn't happen. So what we are proposing is that, as we believe that there are negotiations going on with these companies that rent these out. They're trying to come up with some standards. Now is a good time for us to take a pause on those as well and to come up with some good guidelines. I think certainly we're going to use them. We're going to see them when the town center comes around, but we just want to be prepared for them. So we're going to propose a 12-month moratorium that will be against either operating them, and that is the commercial use of them, as well as renting them in the city limits of Snellville. I've followed what Athens has already done in what I'm proposing, and that is a $25 impound fee if the police have to pick one up that's just laying on county property or city streets. They will contact, they all are marked with serial numbers, they will contact them, say, hey, we've got one of your devices here, and if they don't pick them up, then there's a $5 charge per day for impound. And again, this is just proposal, this is for y'all to talk about, so just a starting point. So just wanted to see what you all think about that. We've already got it kind of drafted up, but I wanted to get your input before I circulated anything. So.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for us to do the moratorium for now. I do know GMA is working with the industry to craft some kind of guidelines and some policies. And my assumption is that once they get that worked out, we'll probably just adopt that. I mean, we'll review it and adopt what they come up with. But I would just be afraid that all of a sudden somebody's gonna just drop in overnight and then we got a problem.
Well, and the concern too is liability. So if someone leaves the scooter on city property and somebody falls and gets hurt, tripped over them, there may be, a case there that we didn't take action to move it or to look for them or to clean up so it's just important that we have these in place.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Is everybody
Plus the
all right?
fact, I don't know where you could ride them in Snellville, because you can't ride them
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. And I don't think by state law can you ride them on the street, because they're not licensed vehicles.
I'm not sure afterwards.
Well, and again, but
Atlanta, they have to
bicycles-
ride on the street, like a bicycle.
Yeah, I'm sure it has to be, but I don't know that there's any prohibition against them yet. It's kind of like anything else, the law's way behind the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the moratorium makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Decatur had a problem with them, City of Atlanta's had a problem. And again, it's just a matter until everybody can figure out what's the proper procedure's gonna be. And that's not a moratorium for people to have one or use their own, just they can't come in as a business and rent them and. Okay. Ongoing projects?
Real quickly here, I do need just a couple of minutes in executive session regarding the property issue for the town center. The plan and design work, working well with the county and the library, it's moving forward. I appreciate your understanding and your future input on the second floor space. Zoning and area development, once again, that's going to be coordinated with inside of the UDO. City marketing, we do have the Explore Gwinnett contract on there tonight. We have updated our quality of life violation notice, which I think we've made it more kinder and gentler. I think we sent that out to everybody for your review. The UDO, we're still waiting on subs to finish their part, and then Caleb will put it all together with the staff, and it's another one of those items that I think we need a special work session for, definitely. Roundabout construction, basically, we're complete at Fars and North except for some cleanup and a little more sod. We used the March 16th date for the notice to proceed on Fars and Ridgedale because of the county knowing that we've had to negotiate back and forth. It will probably be sometime in April before construction starts. 78 and 124, we have a sign going up shortly to help a couple of those businesses up near the intersection, letting people know that they're still open for business. SDS negotiations, really not an update that I'm aware of.
Butch, excuse me just for a second, just to make a note. We also got a note from Robert Moon today, if you didn't see it, that the end of Pate Road that goes down to 78 is closed for a period of time. So the only way to come out of there now is the piece that comes out to 124 where the sign will be. Sorry, Butch.
Yeah, SPLOST program, revenues are at this time still staying strong. FY20 budget work is underway. We should have be setting up the small group meetings sometime in the next couple of months. Department heads are working on those, working on their budgets. Comp plan progress. We wanted to talk about the potential medium density tonight. Everything should be complete after your action this evening, and ordinance development, things like scooters and urban agriculture and all of the planning issues are being addressed by our fine attorneys.
Well, in the urban agriculture, that'll just get incorporated into the UDO, won't it? Yeah.
After plenty of review, you kind of gave us some guidelines in January, the planning session.
Oh, our properties weren't 0.8, they were like 0.5. Because we settled on like 0.8 of an acre or something. But I looked up our lots, they're 0.5 acres.
Here's your point, I have a 0.9.
Oh, it was a big
Yeah.
lot. Okay, my lot's
Yeah.
not 0.9.
I think it's a
So
little
you can't have
different.
chickens?
No, I can't have
I
chickens
can-
or
I can,
bees
on
or
the other hand.
Would we
goats,
set
whatever
it
that we
at
talked about.
0.75?
7.5.
I don't remember.
I'll review our notes and get it out to
It
you.
was smaller than.
Because
that.
I don't remember specifically.
Yeah, and that was to put numbers in the draft.
Right.
So
Right,
that's
right.
nothing, there's
It's
nothing
not
settled.
finalized.
Yeah.
Right.
That was to
just
get
a-
us a starting point, so
Yeah,
figure once we get a draft out, we can maybe float it out and y'all could check around and, with people that have talked to you about it, and we can start massaging that a little bit.
That may be one of those items we need more than one work session on, so. Okay.
yeah, got a lot of wooded area in the back.
All right, it is 7:17. Exec session, shall we come back? I don't know
Yeah,
what
the
we're doing.
drainage.